In a world filled with noise, where everyone is running, shouting, chasing dreams and fighting battles they never talk about, he found silence. Not in a quiet room, not in nature, not in sleep, but on a simple wooden board, a chessboard. 64 small squares, black and white, simple, yet powerful enough to change his life. This is not just a story about a game. This is a story about patience, struggle, discipline, and inner peace. This is his journey. The world around him was loud, cars rushing past, people arguing, phones constantly buzzing, deadlines chasing him, dreams falling apart. Every day felt the same. Wake up, rush, struggle, repeat. There was pressure to succeed, fear of failure, and an endless battle inside his mind. He felt lost. No matter how crowded the streets were, he felt alone. No matter how many people stood around him, his heart remained silent. Until one day, he noticed an old wooden chessboard resting quietly in the corner of a small room. Dust covered its surface. Some pieces were missing, yet somehow it was calling him. He sat down, and for the first time in a long time, he took a deep breath. The moment his fingers touched the chess pieces, something changed. The world slowed down. The noise faded away. His thoughts became calm. Time seemed to stand still. Each piece had a purpose. Each square had meaning. He started learning, slowly, patiently. At first he lost, again and again and again, but every defeat taught him something. He realized chess is not about winning. It is about understanding. Understanding your opponent, understanding your mistakes, understanding yourself. Every game became a lesson. Every loss became growth. And slowly, he started winning. The chessboard became his battlefield, not a battlefield of violence, but of minds. Every move demanded thought. Every mistake demanded courage. He learned patience. He learned focus. He learned control. Every pawn was a soldier. Every rook, knight, bishop, queen, a warrior. And the king? The king was responsibility. One wrong move and everything could be lost. Through chess, he began to understand life. Life has rules. Life has risks. Life gives second chances, but not unlimited ones. He started applying chess principles to his daily life. Think before you act. Stay calm under pressure. Accept defeat with dignity. Fight with honor. Slowly, the boy who once felt lost became confident. The boy who once feared failure began embracing challenges. But the greatest battle was not on the board. It was inside him. Fear, doubt, anxiety. Before every big match, his hands trembled, his heart raced, his mind screamed. But he remembered. A calm mind makes the strongest move. He closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and trusted his training. Every heartbeat aligned with every move. Every second mattered. The room was silent. All eyes were fixed on the board. This was not just a game. It was a test of patience, courage, and belief. The final match. 2 minds, 1 board. Each move carefully calculated. Each sacrifice deeply considered. The tension was unbearable. One wrong move, and it would all be over. Sweat rolled down his forehead, but his eyes remained steady. He saw the opportunity. One final strike, a bold sacrifice. The room froze. Silence filled the air. Then, checkmate. For a moment, no one spoke, and then applause. Not just for the victory, but for the journey. That simple wooden board gave him more than trophies. It gave him peace, focus, discipline, purpose. In a world full of noise, he found silence on a chessboard. And maybe so can you, because sometimes all it takes is 64 squares to discover your true strength. Years passed. The boy grew older, stronger, wiser. Chess was no longer just a game to him. It became a way of thinking, a way of living. When life placed him under pressure, he stayed calm. When people doubted him, he stayed focused. When problems surrounded him, he searched for the best move. Because chess had taught him something powerful. You don't panic, you analyze. You don't quit, you adapt. You don't fear sacrifice, you calculate it. He realized that life, just like chess, is not about reacting emotionally. It is about responding intelligently. The trophies gathered dust, medals faded, certificates were stored away, but the mindset stayed, the discipline stayed, the confidence stayed, and that was the real victory. Because winning a match is temporary, but mastering yourself is permanent. Maybe you don't need a chessboard. Maybe your 64 squares are something else, a book, a skill, a passion, a dream. But somewhere in this noisy world, there is something waiting for you, something that will teach you patience, something that will test your courage, something that will shape your mind. The question is not, can you win? The question is, are you willing to learn? Because sometimes the greatest battles are silent, and the strongest warriors never raise their voices. Even in silence, he realized power exists. Not the loud power of words, not the flashy power of victories, but the quiet power of focus, the steady power of discipline, the invisible power of patience. Every move he had made on the board, every loss he had suffered, had built something greater than trophies. It had built him. And slowly, he understood. Life itself is like a chessboard. Every choice matters. Every decision counts. Every small step shapes the bigger picture. He started sharing what he learned with friends, with strangers, with anyone who would listen. Not how to win a game, but how to win at life. Think before acting. Stay calm under pressure. Face your fears. Learn from your mistakes. Respect the journey as much as the victory. And people noticed. The same boy who once felt lost was now someone who inspired others. The world around him was still noisy. The chaos never stopped. The deadlines, the pressures, the fears, all remained. But he had changed. He had found silence in the noise. He had found strength in patience. He had found confidence in himself. And that's when he realized, the world doesn't need to change, you do. Silence isn't found outside, it's found inside. And sometimes, all it takes is 64 squares to teach a lifetime of lessons. He realized that the greatest opponent was not across the board, it was within himself. Fear, doubt, and hesitation were stronger than any rival. But every time he faced them, he made a choice to act, to think, to move forward. And slowly, the inner champion emerged, not defined by trophies, but by resilience, not by applause, but by courage, not by victories, but by growth. He began to see life as a series of boards, each challenge a new game, each setback a lesson, each victory a reminder. He shared his wisdom quietly. Patience is strength. Discipline is power. Focus is freedom. Those who listened began to see their own boards differently. They learned that every move matters. Every decision counts. Every moment is an opportunity to grow. The chessboard still sat quietly in the corner, dust-covered, worn, simple. But it was no longer just a game. It was a teacher, a mentor, a mirror to life itself. He had discovered a truth. The world will never be quiet. Life will always be messy. But inside, you can find clarity. You can find a peace. You can find yourself. Maybe you don't need a chessboard. Maybe your 64 squares are your choices, your passions, your dreams. Somewhere in the noise of the world, there is a space waiting for you. A place where patience teaches. A place where courage grows. A place where you become your own champion. And once you find it, the noise doesn't disappear, but you do. Because strength is not about the world. It's about the mind, the heart, the spirit. And sometimes, all it takes is 64 squares to discover your true power. The boy had grown into a young man. The world around him was still loud, but he moved differently now. No longer rushing, no longer panicking, no longer letting fear control him. Every decision, every action was deliberate, thoughtful, measured. He realized that true change doesn't come from noise. It comes from calm, from patience, from clarity. And slowly, his quiet actions began to inspire others. He taught not how to play chess, but how to play life. He told them, every challenge is a board. Every choice is a move. Every setback is a lesson. Think before acting. Learn from your mistakes. Face fear with courage. Celebrate growth, not just victories. People listened, and slowly they began to find their own silence in the chaos. Years later, the wooden chessboard was still there, dusty, worn, yet full of stories. Stories of patience, stories of struggle, stories of courage, stories of growth. And he realized the real power wasn't in winning games, it was in mastering oneself. The quiet power of focus, the unseen strength of patience, the unstoppable force of discipline. You don't need trophies to prove your strength. You don't need applause to feel victory. Sometimes all it takes is 64 squares, a single moment of focus, a single decision to act, a single choice to believe in yourself. In a world full of noise, find your silence, your board, your strength. Because the greatest battles are quiet, the strongest victories are internal, and the most powerful journeys start with a single